this past week, SpaceX and Boeing both had tests of their commercial Crew spacecraft. So Crew Dragon for SpaceX and the CST-100 Starliner for Boeing. And we'll start with SpaceX first. They had their first successful multi-parachute test for the Crew Dragon, which SpaceX is using a new parachute design. It's the Mark III design. And that Mark III design is different in that they've done a lot of different updates on it, and there's plenty of other videos out there that you can learn about what the specifics are of what's new about it. But this Mark III parachute design is supposed to be safer, marginally safer, and much better. And this is the 13th test of the Mark III parachute, but it's the first test that SpaceX has done with the multi-parachute test. So there's 4 of these parachutes, and this is the first time that they've tested that. They need to do 10 times of successful testing in a row to prove that it's safe enough. That's NASA's standard, that they're okay with saying, hey, Crew is going to fly. So SpaceX has to do 9 more of those multi-parachute tests before this new Mark III design has been approved and ready for people to launch. And later this month, November 23rd, SpaceX is going to be doing their in-flight abort test at max Q, which is the max dynamic pressure that it's the highest amount of force that the rocket experiences during launch. So the Falcon 9 reaches max Q, which is it's that time where the atmosphere and the vibrations that the rockets are dealing with and the force that the rocket is trying to push through the atmosphere to get into orbit, they actually pull back the throttle on the rocket so that the rocket and everything else on board has a chance while it's going through all of that insane force to not just rip itself apart and blow up. So they're actually going to fly a Falcon 9 and have the Dragon capsule abort during that phase. So that's the point where it's going to be the toughest and the most difficult, and the time that if anything was going to go wrong, it would happen there. If the abort test is successful, doing it at that point, then we know that the Crew Dragon is going to be safe enough in almost any situation. And for Boeing, the CST-100 Starliner had its successful test of the abort test on the launch pad. So it's pretty insane. The CST-100 Starliner from the launch pad went 650 miles per hour in 5 seconds. So you can just imagine how fast that actually is. And in that time, it reached apogee, which is the top of the orbit of its trajectory as it launches from the pad and then comes back down. The top of that arc is the apogee. So it reached that in 19 seconds. And then parachutes released, which turned the spacecraft to the right position so that it can get into landing. And then the module on the bottom was released, which exposed basically the heat shield on the bottom, so that's the whole process of getting everything safe and to getting the Starliner to land safely with humans on board. Then the heat shield was removed and the airbags deployed on the bottom because it's actually landing on land. So it was a successful test, and it's a great time right now for commercial space. Both options. The thing that we've been really looking forward today in space, in the opinion of this podcast, we want as many options to go into space as possible. We have had too much time where we haven't had any options to fly American astronauts from American soil on American rockets and spacecraft. And to have multiple options is a good thing. We can pick sides, or we can get real tribal on who should be better. But having multiple options, 2 different spacecraft that do 2 different things and different capabilities, this is a good thing. And having them all human rated so that we could fly Crew is a good thing. It's not like they'll go to waste.